Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Perform Happy Podcast. My guest, Kyrstin Johnson, has done a lot of amazing things in her little, short so far college gymnastics career. She was a class of 2023 athlete, just spent a year at Talladega College, where she was the first gymnast to commit and become the first HBCU gymnast in Alabama, first four-time All-American and vault champion from an HBCU, holding the highest records in vault, bar, floor, and all around for Talladega. And she led her team to be the first HBCU gymnastics squad to win an NCAA competition, earning first place all around. I mean, so much success. And I can't wait to talk about how you got there. So welcome to the show, Kyrstin.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited.
I'm so excited to meet you. And so, of course, I always like to start with the love of gymnastics. So you
Mhm.
mentioned that you were a late starter. You, me, and
Yes.
Simone Biles all started late to gymnastics. So, people, there's hope.
Yes.
So, I'd love to hear about how you got started and how you fell in love with gymnastics.
Well, I started by doing cartwheels at like the age of 2. I was always just one of those kids that never sat down, like ever, flipping around the house, grocery stores, malls, everywhere. So my parents at one point were thinking about putting me in gymnastics just for that reason. But unfortunately, so I had a cousin and that did gymnastics. And her parents were telling my parents, no, don't put in gymnastics, it's gonna take up majority of your time, so much money. They weren't lying. It is true. But I think my parents got a little bit intimidated because of that. And they were just like, no, we're not gonna put her in it. So they put me in dance, they put me in cheerleading, anything besides gymnastics. And it was at one point in time they couldn't avoid it anymore. And they put me in it. And I started gymnastics at the age of 10 and I went from there.
Yeah, which 10
Yeah,
is like you're basically geriatric at 10, right? To go start gymnastics.
exactly.
And so what you go in and start a rec class at age 10 and are like kind of behind?
Yep.
Like what was that like? That going in, because I have a 9-year-old who's like, Mom, I changed my
Mhm,
mind. I want to do gymnastics. And I'm like, okay, buddy, like absolutely. And I think you're going to be in class with 6-year-olds. Are you okay with that? And she's like,
mhm.
sure. So it's kind of hard for a kid to go in a little bit older, maybe a little taller than the other kids around. So yeah, what was that like?
I feel like it kinda depends on the person because for me personally, I didn't really it didn't really, like, bother me at all. It was just, like, the fact that I was able to do something that I loved for, like, hours. I was seriously just happy, and I kinda remember that the coaches were saying that I was one of the lucky kids that were actually advanced enough to where, yes, they did teach me like little details, but I was like the type of kid who would go in there trampoline and just chuck flips all the time, including like on the grass. So I was able to learn like back handspring, back flips, and all of that. So it was only so long that I had to stay in like rec classes, and then I started looking into teams. And I started level 4 and skipped 5 and 6, went to 8, 9, 10, all the way to college. Um, but I think at that time, my parents were kinda just like, "Okay, how do we even get her into competing?" Um, I'm not really sure about that. I think they really just had to, like, ask around and probably look into gyms to really be like, "Okay, how do we get into this process?" I do know that I had to try out to get on the team. Um, tried out, and I made it, and I started level 4, and, I went from there, but, yeah, I just remember it was a lot of fun. I remember just going to camps, and then I remember, like, there was, like, a bunch of drills, and my dad would always take me I think don't have me lying. I think I probably did gym, like, was it 3 times a week? Something like that? Until they were just like, "Okay, like, it's time to, like, let her go, let her compete on her own." But it was fun, though. I remember those were some happy times, I think, for me. Yeah.
I bet. Well, and I know as a former coach, like when you meet a kid who walks into your gym, this like ball of ball of clay, right? They're like, "Oh, wow,
Mhm.
we could form this into something really cool." I mean, I bet your coaches were just like had so much fun teaching you, knowing that you had probably some natural ability. What were your coaches
Mhm.
like when you were kind of coming up the levels like that?
I remember they were so goofy. I remember they were like fun to like work with, like, and the thing is they never really put a lot of pressure on you. They seriously just let you just do your own thing. They knew what fun was. Um and I just really like appreciate that because I remember also looking like from the outside and looking at coaches like they would look scary. I'm just like, oh my gosh, like do I actually really want to do this? Blah blah blah. But luckily I actually had the right coaches and I got really what I needed, what I wanted. And I think that's what really also helped me like excel in gymnastics as well, at least at that point in time. Um, it really helped me get to where I'm at now. So
Mm. And as you
yeah.
went along, I mean, at what point were you like, okay, this, I really want to do college? You know, I know gymnastics is the only sport
Hmm.
where 12-year-olds have already chosen their college. You know, it's
Yeah.
completely insane how, which I imagine in your situation probably wasn't the case. You were not thinking college, or maybe you were. Like, what was?
I was thinking more of the Olympics.
I love
I
it.
was thinking for I was. Um, I forgot what how old I was. I want to say around 15. This one I was just like, okay, I need to start focusing on college. I was looking to elite track because that's usually what the girls go to, advance, and that's where like all like the pros are basically starting to get into the Olympics. So I went to elite track and I was only able to do I think for maybe like 6 months, I think. Unfortunately, I had a back injury
Mm.
and that kind of like what put the brakes on everything. And I was just like, okay, maybe the Olympics is just not for me. Maybe I should start looking into college. Stopped the whole elite track thing. Um, what was it? Did level 10 for 3 years. The first 2 years, they were definitely rough because I was dealing with the back thing, plus a whole ankle injury. And I remember in that point in time that I had a lot of highs, but a lot of lows because I feel like that there was always just a lot of pressure. I feel like I had to live up to expectations. And I was just like, okay, if you're not competing, then how are colleges going to look at you? And then I was even having mental blocks too. And then I was even having problems like with trying to figure out if I fit in with my team. So just there it was a lot. And I remember I had to look into a mindset coach, which got me back on track. And that's when my third year came in and I really started to excel and get back to where I really need to. Um, oh, sorry, this is a long story. I'm trying to remember
No,
everything.
I'm just thinking about so many juniors in high school who get
Yeah.
injured and have this big dream and are like,
Mhm.
oh, uh-oh, and the pressure and the stress. And I mean, I think every junior who is a serious committed athlete who wants to go beyond high school has this
Yeah.
potential to be a nervous wreck, which do you
Mhm.
think do you think that played into the mental blocks? Do you think it was separate? What's your gut on that?
I think so. I think so. Because like I said, like I didn't know where to start. Actually, my mom kind of helped me with that because she, I think she kind of saw like other gymnasts on Instagram that she actually saw that other gymnasts started a account, like an Instagram account. And come to find out, like college coaches actually go on Instagram and look at gymnasts for like recruiting. So I was just like, okay, that's where we can start. So we we started an Instagram account for me, which helped a little bit. And West Virginia started looking into me. I was interested in West Virginia a little bit. Then Fisk came along. They were the first HBCU with gymnastics team. Started looking into Fisk. Actually, verbally committed to Fisk. And then Talladega came along. And it was funny because I was just like, "Ma, I'm gonna become a bulldog. I'm gonna be a Fisk gymnast. It's gonna be great. I'm not looking at Talladega." And I remember when Coach Aja from Talladega, she reached out, and my mom was just like, give her a chance, listen to what she has to say. Hopped on a call with her, and I immediately just fell in love with the school and what they had to offer. And that's when I became a tornado because I actually committed pretty late and I was worried. You kind of had to do something in NCAA for, I guess, colleges to actually reach out to you. Um, I didn't know anything about that. So I think that's one of the reasons why the process for me was actually slower than what it should have been. But I'm
Mm.
very blessed how everything just like turned out, I think, and
Yeah.
went how it was supposed to go. But
Yeah.
it
Well,
was
okay. So I would,
definitely a rocky road.
and it always is. I have yet to meet an athlete who has had great success, who has had a smooth path. It has not
Mhm.
happened yet. Every single person
Right.
has had injuries and mental blocks and, issues with friends or coaches or family or, transitions. It's like that's life. And the
Mhm.
people who make it are the ones who they get through it, really. And what I noticed, I don't know if this is true for you, but that the people who get injured or have a setback mentally, physically, they actually come out the other side better, stronger, more resilient,
It's true.
more grateful because of the
Mhm.
setback, not like in spite of it. It's almost like that setback was just part of the perfect journey to being as strong as you needed to be to handle it. I don't know. What is your thought on that?
Mhm. I was oh, being injured, it is not the best. It is not, because when you're injured, you're just sitting back and you're looking at all the other gymnasts, practicing, doing the things that you wanna do, and you feel helpless, like you can't do anything. But, like, in that time, you kinda, like, really just get to learn kinda, like, more, like, about yourself. At least I definitely did. Definitely, like, as a gymnast, and that kinda showed me, like, what I am capable of, and that I can literally get through anything if I
Mhm,
really put my mind to it. Um, was it the worst? Yes, but I wouldn't change a thing about it. Not at all. Yeah.
mhm. Yeah, I mean,
And
that's
it
usually the
really did
story.
yeah, and it really did it really did, like, set me back a little bit mentally, and that also kinda brought in, like, my mind is actually stronger than what I definitely thought, because I really had to journal, meditate. I even had to say, like, certain words in my mind just to make sure that I was actually locked into what, I really wanted to do. Like, I kinda it was kinda like a battle. I was kinda, like, showing, like, "No," like, whatever negative thoughts are there, I'm like, "No, I am in charge, like, you're not in charge of me."
Mm,
Um, it was I would definitely have to say my senior year of high school, that was definitely a struggle, but a struggle that overcame. So,
mm.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, okay, I'd love to hear what were some of the things that your mental coach helped you discover about yourself and things that maybe you keep carrying through today in your gymnastics?
I I really think it really had to do with having confidence because I really didn't have that. And I mean, I'm still working on it, but having confidence and just believing in myself. Because at that point in time, I almost kind of like felt alone, that no one really could understand me. And I didn't really think anyone was going through anything that I was going through, like at all. Um, but she kind of like reassured me, like, trust me, like there's other gymnasts who are going through the same thing as you. You are not alone. Um, and just really to just trust myself, my technique. And then once you do that, everything will really fall into place. Like, don't put unnecessary pressure on yourself. Um, give yourself grace. I think that was definitely one of the things that she had taught me.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, definitely that because I was seriously lacking that in the very beginning. Um, yes, I really am grateful for that, that she seriously, like, taught me that. Yeah,
That reminds
because
me
I was
of
definitely able to carry that to college.
yeah, I mean, and to be able to believe in yourself, that's all parents want for their kids. It's like they
Mhm.
I know your parents were like, "Oh, she's so amazing. She's so incredible. We wanna give her every opportunity." But you can't see what other people see in you until you can. And sometimes it
Yeah,
takes
and I
work.
was even thinking about what other people thought, coaches, teammates, my parents, and the thing is, like, my parents are very supportive. They never really gave me, like any inkling of like they would be like disappointed or anything like that. But at the end of the day, they're still your parents. You still want to make them proud. Um, yeah, it was just all of that pressure, just like, oh my gosh, all these voices like, oh, they probably think she's bad, or they probably don't think that she's working hard enough. They probably think that she's lying about her injuries. Like just back and forth, tug of war all the time, all the time, all the time, all the time. To where I was finally able to get them to like stop and do what I wanted to do and not worry about anyone else. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I'm like smiling over here because this
Mm.
is what every athlete is thinking of. So everyone who's listening, raise your hand if you can relate. Like every kid is
Yeah.
going to be like, yes, I 100% relate. I feel like everyone thinks I'm bad, or I think I'm letting my parents down, or I think I
Mhm.
got too late of a start, or I don't know what I'm doing, or I'm so mad that I'm out injured. It's like every single thing that you have described, I hear every
Yeah.
single day from so
Even
many
communicating with
athletes.
coaches was a problem too. Yeah, because 'cause you're always just disappointment. You're always just scared to approach them and be like, "Hey, coach, like, this is hurting today. Is it okay if I can just take a step back?" Because like, then all you see is, like, sometimes you just see disappointment on their face, and then you just push yourself when knowing dang well that you should not, and then things get worse, and then there comes more anger, sadness, disappointment, which comes more voices in your head, and then trying to battle those. So it's yeah. It's a lot.
Yeah, and
It's a
it's a
lot.
risk because in order to start communicating with your coach, you don't know if it's gonna go well. You don't know if they're gonna say no. You don't know if they're gonna give you that
Exactly.
look or that face, but you
And then
have
if
to
everything is
actually
okay,
pursue
you get
it.
relief. Mhm.
Yeah, but you
Yeah.
have and to tell, a 9 or 10-year-old to be like, if you are feeling scared or you are feeling pain, it's okay
Yeah.
to walk up to your coach and say, "Excuse me, coach, I don't know if I'm confident enough to try that today." Which could feel
Mhm.
like the biggest hurdle anyone's ever jumped over for, the
Yeah.
shy kid who just wants to please. It's terrifying.
Mhm.
And so at what point did you get past that or kinda take those leaps of faith for yourself to start communicating?
Uh, my senior year.
Mm.
I think because I finally had enough of if my coach did get upset, because at the end of the day, it is my body. I'm the one who's doing it. Um, and I had to make sure that I was healthy to make sure that I was able to achieve the goals that I want to achieve. Because if I'm not healthy, it's not going to turn out the way I want it to. So if I didn't hear the answer that I wanted to hear, I would still be like, look, I'm sorry, but this is just not it. But I would still try to kind of like meet in the middle, be like, okay, can I like rest today? But on this day, can we do such, and such? Just to make sure that I still get what I need to get done to, yeah, still make my coach happy, but also to make sure that I would be safe and healthy and doing it correctly. Because like sometimes, like if you are hurting, you are trying to like push yourself, you'll be doing the skill, but you're not really doing the skill like how it should be done because you're hurting. And then you start to create like bad habits, which is not the best. We can also kind of transfer it into competition season, and then you start to, get like points deducted. It's almost kind of like a domino effect. Um, so it's kind of like not only is the coach learning from you or like what type of gymnast you are, but also kind of like teaching yourself like, okay, I am able to stick up for myself, or I am able to put my foot down and tell the coach like what I need, like as a gymnast. But it's easier said than done. It is hard. It is scary.
Yes.
I will admit it really took some time. It still takes me some time to this day.
Mhm.
But I am still able to speak up. And plus I'm in an environment where I actually feel comfortable talking to my coaches. It's one of the things I was really able was one of the things I was actually looking for. So thank you for
Mhm.
that.
Yes, and not everyone has that because I know some kids are like, "I
Yeah.
cannot talk to my coach because they will give me a look and they will say I'm not trying or they will not
Mhm.
listen." And, oh, I'm like, "Okay, moms and dads out there, get your kids in a
Mhm.
place where they're listened to, first of all, and help these little shy kiddos learn to find their
Yeah.
voice." And if you start at level 3 saying, "Hi coach, how was your weekend?" or "How's your dog?" or just
Mhm.
like encouraging your young athletes to start just using words with their coach,
Yeah.
that can start to show that, oh, the coach actually is kind of my friend and my coach actually
Mhm.
cares about me and my coach actually likes when I tell them that I feel scared because then they can help me.
Mhm.
So I think for anyone out there who's like, "Oh gosh, communicating with my coach is the scariest thing ever," even if they're the
Mhm.
nicest coach, just start
Yes.
practicing speaking. Give a compliment once a day. "Coach, that was a really fun conditioning set." Whatever you got, just like,
Yeah, because that will really make a coach's day, like, you really see them, like, with the biggest smile, like, "Oh, really?"
"Yes, I loved our
Yeah.
beam workout today, coach. That was so hard and I got a lot done." Those little like give and take, even if you're young, you
Mhm.
can totally give your coach feedback. And I
Oh,
run
yeah.
on compliments. So when I was a coach, I would have been like, "I will do anything you need if you tell me I'm a good coach." Like
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
it goes both
The
ways.
motivation literally just grows from there and be like, "Yeah, okay, this is I'll definitely be doing that. Thank you,
Yeah. Or I
Sally
like
or
this
Lily.
kid. Yeah,
Thank you."
right.
Yeah,
Totally.
yeah.
Yeah, so communication is huge. Okay, we can't skip over the mental blocks just because I know a
Mm.
lot of people out there struggle with them. So would you tell us what were the trouble
Mm.
skills that were acting up and what was the scenario for you?
I'm telling you senior year. I'm telling you senior year. I had a block, it was on bars. Jeez. I can't remember the skill. It might have been like an overshoot or something, but I was always known as the gymnast to never have fear. And for me to actually be scared of something scared me. Um, and then not being able to have control over my thoughts also scared me. And it's almost like it's almost like your mind is you're like, "Yeah, I want to do it," but your body, like, it's like you don't have control of your body. It's the weirdest and most scariest thing. Um, I've even had it on Takachev. I forgot about that. Another bar skill. It's just once you're, like, scared of something when you have a yeah, when you have a block, it's so scary. It's like your mind just goes blank and you want to do something in particular, but your body does something different to where it can really cause an injury or just cause you, like, really just, like, to spaz out. Like, I've had panic attacks over it. And then you start to, like, doubt yourself, like, "Am I able to do the skill again?" Or, "Let's just not to do the skill anymore, let's do something else." Try to get yourself to avoid it. And then you might start, like, on bars, but then all of a sudden it tries to transfer on beam, then floor, then vault. And to get over a mental block, I literally had to go back to, like, like, the baby steps. Like, I literally had to break it all the way down. Um, and that took, like, a long time because I felt defeated. I started to feel kinda like going back like, "Oh my gosh, like, I'm so bad, like, why is this happening? This never happens to me. I have to live up to these expectations, and I'm not living up to them right now." Um, it took time. It went I think I even did mental choreography before I even went, like, "Okay, put your hips here, have your toes there, let go here." It took a lot of, like, mental choreography and just, like, just physical, just everything, taking it back to the basics for me to actually feel comfortable in my mind again. So I knew, like, if I ever did the skill, I could actually physically do it,
Mhm.
and there wouldn't be any doubt or fear of me getting hurt. So, yeah, if you get a mental block and you're trying to, like, get over that skill, it's gonna take time, like, it's not gonna be, like, an automatic thing, and I think that's also something I had to grasp as well. Because in gymnastics, I am a very fast learner, so also being stuck on something, that was very irritating, very defeating. But I was able to get over that roadblock, and if I did need something, or if I did need extra help, I was able to communicate to my coach, and we were able to figure it out together, so it was like a teamwork thing, so I didn't feel alone. Yeah, I was able to make that relationship with my coach. We were able to get it done, and now we're actually on the right track, and I don't have any mental blocks.
Woo.
So,
Yes.
woo woo.
Yes. And
Yeah.
it's that everything you're saying is such great advice because what happens is that you have this blueprint in your mind that fast learner that happens so often with fast learners because they build this
Mhm.
blueprint in their mind so fast. It's like, let's say you're learning a flyaway. It's like you do your tap swings, you do
Mhm.
your flat backs, you learn about opening your shoulders, you know how to flip. It's like you do all these drills over time from the beginning to the end to the where your brain is like, okay, I know how to tap and I know how to let go and I know how to flip and I know how to land. And then you just turn
Mhm.
that into flyaway. Easy. And you don't have to think about it. Your brain just does its thing. Your body does its thing. It's beautiful. And
Mhm.
then all of a sudden you're like, wait, whoa, why am I not letting go? This is
Mhm.
terrifying. Oh no, the thoughts come in. Then you doubt
Mhm.
yourself. And then it's like that fear creates this whole doubt with yourself. And then
Yeah.
what you have to do is basically rebuild that mental blueprint. And it
Correct.
sometimes it means you go back to the very beginning, like what you did in level 3 to learn the flyaway.
Yeah.
But the key is that, like what you said, you collaborate with your coach and you go to them and you figure out, okay, what are the baby steps that I can take? And your coach isn't like, why are
Mhm.
you being lazy? Just go. It's like that's so
Mhm.
not helpful in that situation because
Yeah, like, some coaches will even use reverse psychology, like, me, do not use that on me because I will actually get in my head, versus some people, I mean, it works on, but some gymnasts, it does not. Um, I think because another thing that will happen is, like, yeah, you'll be doing, like yeah, like a giant well, and all of a sudden you just do one little thing and be like, "Oops, okay, I messed up. Alright, let's try again." And then you do it, and then you do make the same mistake, you make the same mistake again, and it starts to get in your head. And it's literally like the worst thing, and then you look at your coach like, "What do I do? What do I do?" And then the coach keeps on saying, "Do it again, do it again, do it again, do it again." You keep doing it again and again and again, but you keep making the same mistake. When actually in reality, sometimes you actually seriously just need to stop.
yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I think, like, maybe a gymnast should also know, like, "Okay, maybe I should stop," but not also just a gymnast, even the coach, like, sometimes and be like I think a lot of coaches are always just like, "Numbers, numbers, numbers, numbers." Sometimes
Mhm.
no, that really is the case, you do need numbers, but sometimes, like,
Sure.
might be a day, like, "Alright, you need to stop before you actually create a bad habit," or, "I can tell it's getting in your head. Let's just stop for the
Mhm.
day. We have practice tomorrow. Let's just
Right.
revisit the skill tomorrow."
Yes.
Yeah.
And do what you can. And I found that the
Mhm.
way to eliminate blocks is that you listen to yourself. So the second that you have that weird one, you're like, oh, that felt
Mhm.
off. Hey, coach, will you watch this one? Or could you
Yeah.
stand
Yeah.
there for one? Or I'm going to go hit a drill
Mhm.
really fast because this feels off. Where athletes who are like, I can't go backwards. I know I can't, I have to just do it. I can't need help.
Yeah.
I shouldn't need help. They have all this like pressure they put on themselves. Yeah. Okay. Guilty. I should
Mhm.
not
Oh,
need a
yeah.
spot. I've been doing this for 5 years where it's like, if you just were like, whoa, that felt off. Coach, I need help. Let me add a mat. Okay. I feel better. And off you go, or
Mhm.
okay, today's a weird day. I didn't get enough sleep. It's totally fine. I'm just going to let this go. We're going to beam. Moving on. It's
Mhm.
not a big deal. You go back the next day, you start at an easier progression. Make sure you got your technique right. And then you're good and there's no fear because you listen to yourself and you communicated
Mhm.
quickly. That's what I want kids to understand is like if you can catch
Yeah.
the weird feeling and just get curious about, okay, what is it about my technique, about blueprint, those drills, those baby steps that I need
Yeah.
to just reassure myself with really fast, then I'm good. And so if you're
Right.
freezing up a couple times, don't keep freezing up. Stop it.
Mhm.
Back up, do something where you can be successful. Try again. That just
'Cause
stops
I
the
am actually a
spiral.
visual learner. I'm
Mm,
actually a visual learner, so we would even, like, set up cameras in the gym, and I would do the skill, and I would look back at it, and I would, like, put it in slow motion and be like, "Oh, so that's what I'm supposed to do there." So then when I actually take the turn, I'm able to make a little adjustment, and then I'm like, "Oh my gosh, this is immediately better." So, I mean, like, for girls who are actually visual learners, set up some cameras, look back,
yes.
everything that you need to do, because even, like, at competitions, you might have, like, the worst competition, and you know that your parents recorded it, right? And you're probably gonna be like, "Bro, I know I did so bad. I don't wanna look back at that." But you should look back at it. So then you'd be like, oh, okay, so I see where the judge took a deduction there. Yeah, I need to fix that. I need to point my toes. I need to straighten my legs there. I need to be hollow here. Or no, I probably should do like a tighter arch there. Because I know that actually helped with like competitions. Like I started to see myself progress because I was actually paying attention to those little details because I looked back at videos. Um, I know that's something that really helped me. Hopefully I'll help someone else. But
Yes. Yes.
yeah.
Yes. And anyone who's a visual learner, get the cameras in the, and I know some
Mhm.
people are like, oh, my coach doesn't let me bring my phone in or whatever.
Yeah.
Ask your coach. They got a phone. Like,
I would tell my coach, I was just like, I would be like, "Hey, coach, can you use your phone, please?" They'd be
yeah.
like, "Oh yeah," they'll gladly do it. Yeah,
Totally. And I
they'll
love
gladly
like
do it.
there's so much power in looking back at like whatever your first one is for the day. It's not going to be perfect. Maybe it is, but most of the time it's
Mhm,
not. You get it on video, you look at it and you're like, that's my starting point. Let's get a little better. And then you watch the next one. And it's like, oh yeah, that was closer to vertical or that was a little tighter. Okay. So even if you're like, oh gosh, I'm not good. I'm feeling like I'm not good today. I'm not hitting these. Well, but the second one was better than the first one. Third one was better than the
mhm.
second one. So if you can get behind like this progress is happening, that can be really helpful
Yeah,
too, where you're just like fine tuning instead of trying to get to perfect all the time, because we all know that's not even real. It's not possible.
I think it's also really good to somehow recognize some type of positive thing, if that makes sense. Like, say, like, okay, oh my gosh, like, why was my knee bent on that skill? I should have probably, even if you make some little negative statement, somehow try to find a positive so you don't keep putting yourself down, if that makes sense. Because I feel like sometimes in gymnastics, where it's so focused more on the negative than the positive. Um, yeah.
Yes. I mean, yeah,
Yeah.
just thinking about coaches who are, if you're waiting till perfection to give a compliment as a coach, you're not going to give a lot of
Mhm,
compliments. But if you can be praising,
mhm.
like, that was better, that was better, and not better than you've ever done your entire life. That's too high of a standard, but better than your first one, better than the one you just tried. This is, if you start where you are every day
Yeah.
and get a little better, over time, you're going to be
Mhm.
incredible. But if you're expecting perfection the whole journey, you're going to be sad the whole time. It's like, what
Yeah, don't
perspective would
wait
you
to
rather
get a compliment
have?
from your coach. Like, give yourself a compliment. Give yourself a
Yeah.
pat on the back. Because at the end of the day, like, you know what differences you make in practice. You know, like, the changes or how you've been progressing at practice. Like, give yourself grace, like, you know, praise yourself. Be proud of
Yes.
yourself. Yeah.
100%. Okay, so we haven't even got
Mhm.
to college yet. Oh my gosh.
Oh, yeah. Okay, okay,
So
okay.
you got recruited by Talladega, you go and
Okay.
you start this incredible program. You have all this success and then you get
Mhm,
an email one morning that the program is done.
mhm,
Oof, tell us about that.
mm. That was jeez. That was, it was very heartbreaking. It was a shock. It was when I tell you I couldn't even explain, because I remember just that morning when I saw the email, I wasn't really thinking too much of it. I thought it was just, like a regular meeting, like the coach possibly telling us something that we need to do before we get back to school, because I think we're gonna be getting back to school, like, in a month. Um, but no, it was definitely something that we were not expecting, which was the program was getting cut due to funding. That was very disheartening because I just remember just sitting there. I was looking at my parents. I was like, "What are we gonna do? I'm literally going from a school to where I have a full athletic scholarship. Now I am possibly about to pay for tuition somewhere else. Like, what are the new recruits gonna do? What are there was like so many questions that weren't answered. Um, but then my mom came up with the idea to start a fundraiser. She partnered up with the head of Brown Street Gymnastics, Darren Moore. Um, started up the fundraiser. That started getting like a lot of traction. I knew Talladega had a lot of support, but not as much as we did once people found out that the program was cut. Um, there was a lot of love. Uh, but during that process, I think I just had so much hope that the program was gonna be saved to where I wasn't really thinking about other schools too much. Um, but Temple came along. They reached out. Um, I had a nice phone call with them. With Coach Britt. Shout out Coach Britt. Um, very informative. I made a good connection with them. They had everything that I needed academically. And even though I do have to pay for tuition, that's fine. As long as like that they have everything that I needed is all I was like looking for. Um, so I went with Temple. And the other girls, there's some of us that went to D1s and some of us that went to Wilberforce, sorry, the third HBCU. Well, guess the second now.
I guess
That's
so.
having a gymnastics team. Yeah. Yeah, they're gonna be competing this year, which is very exciting. Wish them luck. That's seriously amazing. But yeah, so I went to Temple, and then one girl went to Alaska, another girl went to GW. So it was definitely a lot that happened, possibly in a span of 3 weeks. Everything was just very crammed, and I remember, committing here. I was so excited, so pumped. Got here, and I remember just I was excited, but then I was just like, I don't know, like worry. um, there was like a whole bunch of just pressure and just stress. And I was like, why? I'm excited being here. And this also goes back to communicating with my coaches because I started having weird blocks. I started doing things in the gym that I don't usually do. And I remember always just showing like a smile on my face, but on the inside, I was actually like struggling. And I'm the type of person who likes to keep things to themselves. Um, I don't really like expressing my feelings too much. Um, and I try to handle it on my own, but obviously I could not.
Mm.
So I communicate with my coaches and I was just like, hey, I was just like, I kind of just like feel awful, like there's all this pressure and just, they kind of just, one particular coach, Joel, my bar coach, he was the person who told me to give myself grace. He was like, Kyrstin, he was like, you're coming to a new school, new environment, first off, classes, new teammates, gym, just there's a whole bunch. I literally just had to like take in all at once in a short amount of time. And I was just like, dang, I was like, he's right. It's like, okay. Because I was also still trying to think of like living up to like expectations, like, oh my gosh, I'm supposed to have these skills, but I don't have them right now because my summer was all wonky just because of the Talladega stuff. See, the girl's doing this, but I'm not really able to do that right now. I feel so out of shape. It was just thoughts going in my head all the time, tug of war, tug of war, tug of war, tug. But once I was able to like have a conversation with my coach, they're just like, Kyrstin, give yourself grace. We know what you have been through. Know this is a lot. Relax. um, but yeah, I finally started taking it. I actually really did start to relax a little bit, a little bit. I was still putting a little bit of pressure on myself, but it got better. Um, but yeah, I think because of that, I was definitely able to make a good relationship with my coaches. They were actually able to learn me as a gymnast, learn about me as a gymnast. Also just as like a person. So it was I'm still trying to take it in, but it was definitely tough in the beginning. Going from HBCU to now Temple. I was not expecting that at all. I'm like I is imagine like, oh, I'm about to go back to school in literally like a month. The school that you already been to like in like a year, and then all of a sudden, bow, no, you're not going to that school anymore. You're not gonna find a new school. And then you find that new school, and now you're going to that school instead. And then it took me so long to like learn all the teammates' names. That was a lot. There's 26 of us. But yeah, it was definitely a rocky road, but
Mhm.
I'm starting to get the hang of it now. And I do love Philly. I really love Philly a lot. There's food everywhere. I love the nap pods in the athletic lounge. um, it is never boring here, ever. There's always something going on, and the my teammates have been so welcoming. Like I don't feel any different. Um, I actually feel like I'm a part of a family. So I think this is seriously a blessing in disguise. So I'm
Mm.
very grateful for this opportunity. I can't wait to see what this future holds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I mean, you're so inspiring, and I think your story is just such it's a story that so many people experience, and that like
Mhm.
that self-compassion comes from this awareness that you're not the only one. Like all these
Yeah.
girls from your team are in places that they were not last year, and all of
Mhm.
them are in new
Mhm.
states or new time zones or new
Yes.
coaches and new bars and new, everything's different. And I think for anyone out there suffering and struggling, I thought I was the only one with mental blocks in the whole world when I was 14 and I was
Mhm.
struggling. And guess what? There's at least one kid in every gym, and there's 4,000 gyms in the US. And like,
Yes.
there's probably 5,000 athletes at least right now struggling with what you're
Yes.
going through. There's so
Mhm.
many transfers within athletics. Like, you can feel so isolated, or you can go, okay, this is hard, acknowledge
Mhm.
it, and go, I'm not the only one suffering in the world. And talk to yourself like you would talk to a friend. That's the little, like,
Yeah.
self-compassion break. Just those 3
Yes.
steps. This is hard. I'm not alone in the suffering. Come on, friend. Let's get out there and try. You
Yes.
don't have to be perfect today, and
Mhm.
that just to take those moments for yourself, I think are really important, and especially in times of transition, which is life. Life is just a one big transition, really. And then you get out there and you do the best you can, get a little better every day. I mean, I can't wait
And
to
have
watch
fun.
you. Yes, and
Yes.
have
Have fun.
fun. What a
Have
concept, not
fun.
just pressure.
Yes, that's the one thing my dad always told me to do. He was just like, "Kirsten, just go out there, have fun. Have fun. When you're having fun, you really do your best."
Yeah.
Like, just don't easier said than done, but don't put pressure on yourself. Literally just do the same thing what you've been doing in the gym. Everything will fall into place. If you need to make changes, make the changes in the gym and then go back out there at the next competition. Just have fun. Do the same thing. But like having fun is really key. Like all positivity
Mhm. You might as
I can
well.
do.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
get 4 years, so go
It's
enjoy
like
them.
basically just show off. Like everyone can't do gymnastics. Like they see you, whatever you're doing, you do a cartwheel, a person might think that's absolutely cool. Just have fun.
Absolutely.
Just do your thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Kyrstin Johnson, what a pleasure. I'm so excited to watch you this season. Um,
Thank you.
if people wanna find you on social media, where's the best way for them to watch your progress this season?
Definitely Instagram, Kyrstin_Johnson. That's where I post everything. Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. Yeah, same name, Kyrstin_Johnson. It's just about my journey there. Yeah.
Yay, amazing. Thank you so much for hanging out today. What a pleasure.
Thank you for having me. This was such a good conversation. And I just hope all of you little girls out there have fun, do your best, no pressure, and just communicate. Like I said, easier said than done, but whatever you are going through, you will get through it. There are going to be roadblocks, but just know that you are definitely stronger than what you think. Okay? Yeah.
Amazing. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you.